Welcome to this series of interviews with the giants of cardiothoracic surgery. My name is Joel Dunning, and I'm here at the STS conference in San Diego with one of our greatest giants, Professor Robert Cerfolio. Thank you very much for coming. A lot of people know you, but you're Professor of Surgery and Section Chief at the Thoracic Surgery Department at the University of Alabama, and you're President of the Southern Thoracic Surgical Association. You're documented as having performed and performing every year over 1,000 thoracic operations per year. And the really impressive thing about that is that you've dropped your mortality down below 0.3%. And I think you are the world's largest in terms of volume of thoracic lobectomies by robotics. In addition to that, you've written over 125 original peer-reviewed articles, 40 book chapters, and if that's not enough, you've also written your first general interest book called Super Performing at Home and Work. And this book, it's a fabulous book, and it is perfect for a read from the UK to America, which I did, and I was absolutely blown away. It's a phenomenal read, and congratulations with that book.
Well, I'm thrilled I didn't put you to sleep on that transcontinental flight, but that's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. One of the things that really jumps out is this sheer volume of work that you can get through, and I'm sure it must take a huge amount of effort to get through 1,000 a year, year on year. I mean, how on earth can you organize a team to do that volume of work?
Well, I think the team is the key, and so you hit it. It's really not so much about me, and that's not a modest statement because I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon. You know, modesty is not something that we unfortunately have. But I do have the world's best team. And it really requires a team to do that because I have a lot of visitors, and recently I had visitors and I asked them, what was the worst part about your visit? And one of the surgeons said to me, it's just not possible to do, he watched me do 12 cases. He said, it's not possible to do these 12 operations you do today and do good quality. I said, well, you saw me do all 12 skin to skin. He said, well, the quality looked great here, but you can't take good care of them, or you can't spend time with the families. And I said, I absolutely disagree with you. I think you can. I do think there's a certain limit of what you can do, but I think that's based on your culture and your expectations and where you set the bar. And so I do think that we can deliver very high quality with efficiency and speed, but it requires a team. It requires 3 operating rooms that are running not simultaneously, but as soon as you close the skin in one, you make an incision in the other, and then a system so mistakes are not made. And my volume has come down as I've grown a team of other partners. This past year I only did 800 operations, not over 1,000 or 1,200 as I did for those 7 years in a row. But our quality is even a little bit better. We now have our operative mortality for lobectomy at, you say naught, but I'm not that clever. I'm from the United States. It's 0.2. We're actually under 0.2. We're 0.18% mortality for our last 530 lobectomies. And we're proud of that, but we want to get better. We got to get better. That's still too high.
Yeah, I mean, that is just absolutely stunning from somebody like myself that, you know, we do 3 or 4 in a day. I mean, how do you get that positive culture in your team? Does that take work?
It does, and it's a constant moving target. And I would say, we were talking about your children. It's no different than how do you motivate your children, which is what my book is about. How do you motivate different people from different cultures to want to be the best that they can be? And that's the job as the leader of the team. And my team is great because each team member has a different motivational language, or if I can say love language, they do. Some you got to whip, and some you got to say, hey, you're great, even if you're not. Some you have to compliment, and some you have to say, listen, you can do better than this in front of other people. Some will crumble when you do that, and some will be motivated. And if you do that, your team will get better. And if the team buys into the fact that the guy cleaning the floor versus the guy getting around the pulmonary artery, we're all exactly the same. He probably had a different educational background than me, but those guys who clean the floor bed in my house and play basketball in my backyard with me, we share a culture. We share different socioeconomic backgrounds, for sure, but we share a culture of want to be the best we can, and that motivates your whole team if you really believe in one another.
Yeah, I love one of your stories that you got a very impressive award for a team, your high quality work. You brought the janitor in, didn't you?
I did.
To show that.
And actually it was the guy I was talking about who plays on our basketball team. He's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And if he had the same parents that I did, he would probably be the surgeon, and if I had his parents, I'd probably be the guy cleaning the floor. And it's so much of it is society and what we learn at home and educational background and all these other things. And so that we're all people, we're all the same. We end up doing different things, but we're all share the same values one way or another.
So obviously it goes well when it goes well, but I believe you know, at 14,000 operations you had an operative mortality. I mean, that was obviously a terrible time for your family, for your team. How did you cope with that?
And when I mentioned the 1 out of 521, that's the only one I think about at night. And I don't think about her every night, but maybe now 3 nights out of 7. Shouldn't have happened, and we need to get better. She had unsuspected pulmonary hypertension, and I think if we had found that out preoperatively, maybe looked at the CAT scan more carefully, maybe her PAs were a little big, maybe ordered an echo, which we didn't on her, it didn't seem to be indicated, we would have known that, and we could have not had right ventricular failure during what was a complicated lobectomy, but shouldn't happen. And at our morbidity and mortality conferences, I hear all the time, oh, patient died, but there's nothing we could have done differently. We got a bad result, but I would do it all the same today. And I always say, the lady's dead. The guy's dead. Maybe you should have done something differently. We lost the football game if you're a coach. Maybe you should have done something differently. There's a million decisions along that pathway that you could have looked at and changed what you did, either with your child, either during a football or basketball game, or during a cardiothoracic operation. If you don't get the outcome that the patient deserves, that's on you. And we as a team have got to take better responsibility and not just say we were unlucky, because it's not just all luck.
Yep, so these days in endoscopic surgery, we have black boxes, don't we? We have videotapes. I mean, we should be using that, shouldn't we, to learn? We
do, and you've read my book. I'm big into that, from my kids, from learning how to switch hit in baseball, to my older son who got drafted as a pitcher, to us watching residents operate and videotaping residents, and that's in my book, as you and I spoke about, to looking at that. And I would submit that we have black boxes even in open surgery. And soon, I think the operative dictation will be replaced by an operative video of the procedure, whether it's open or endoscopic. And there's no better record of the operation than video proof of it. And that's where we're headed.
So, and another thing that struck me about sort of going through the book and things is that, you know, when you're a resident and you're learning, you know, you've got a proctor and you've got someone to teach you, but when you're a surgeon in practice, you don't have a coach. I mean, should we be having coaches as surgeons?
Sure we should. I mean, why should a guy who hits a baseball or hits a tennis ball with a tennis racket have a coach, when I'm not downplaying the importance of those societal events, but in relation to someone having heart or lung surgery, why wouldn't that performer have a coach? I think we should. And you can call him whatever you want. You can call him a life coach. You can call him an advisor. There's all these fancy terms now. You can call him a psychiatrist, whatever it is. I think we should. And I know I would do better with one. And it's good to be my own coach, and I am, but I always ask for advice from my visitors, what they liked, what they didn't like. And this one gentleman told me just a few weeks ago, well, I think you're doing too much in a day. I don't think you can do high quality. Even though he watched, I thought, good surgery, he didn't think we could take care of them adequately afterwards. And so it's interesting to hear that, and there's probably some truth in that. You know, there's probably some truth in it. And I think if we all want to get better in every role that we have as a father, as a son, you know, I was married, I used to be a husband, I'm not now, my wife passed away. But if you want to get better in every role in life, you got to be willing to look at it critically and not just say, hey, I'm pretty good at it, because you're probably not. You can get better.
And so tell us about the PRIME program in robotic surgery, of a very well organized way to teach and proctor people.
Thank you. Yeah, so I made up an acronym. It's PRIME, called programmatic, robotic, minimally invasive, are the 2 I's, mentoring experience. And I think the M is the key. It's not just you come in like I did today and take someone through an operation. It's a constant mentoring, both the psychological aspect of someone who's a professor in well-known surgery, of a well-known professor of surgery and internationally acclaimed, now learning a new technique like robotics, which takes them way out of their comfort zone. How do you teach that patient, that surgeon, to manage his ego and to manage the tension of doing something new, versus the anatomy, versus the specific nut and bolts of a robot? And so Prime really relates to my philosophy with what I've done with my kids in sports, what I do with people in my operating room, and we just put a name on it to teach robotics. But it's a bigger philosophy than robotic surgery, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, this sort of thing takes time. I mean, how much time do you think you need to be proctored and mentored to say, transfer from VATS to robotic or open to robotic? How long? Because that's...
Depends. Typical physician answer. It always depends, right, guys? It's never straightforward, but it does depend. If that surgeon knows the anatomy very, very well and is doing minimally invasive video-assisted thoracoscopic surgery, not that much. If that surgeon has just started doing open lobectomies and is a year or two out of training, hasn't done any minimally invasive surgery, really doesn't know the anatomy of the lung and a 3D back and forth, flipping it up and down, it's longer. If they have the same team members, it's shorter. If they have different team members, it's longer. If they get the robot once every 2 weeks, it's difficult. If you get it 3 days a week, it's easier. If they have great volume, it's easier. So all these are factors.
Yeah. So, and does simulation really help, or is simulation just the first step?
Simulation is fun for your 11-year-old, as you guys did today. It's a way to engage an athlete into competition and score and motivate them to do better. And it gets people ready for, at the time of the crunch time, when you have a patient on the table, you're not asking what I call cockpit awareness questions. You're not asking where your foot goes, or your hand goes, or your eye goes, or what button does what. You have to have great familiarity with the cockpit. So when you're under pressure, those are the things that break down first, and they cannot. Your basic mechanics as an athlete, as a pitcher, for instance, has to be so well established that those muscle memories are so rooted in preparation and practice that preparation equals good outcomes under pressure.
Yeah, and you did an excellent sort of roundtable yesterday where there was an open surgeon in the audience that had absolute fear that there would be a complication, and you very correctly said, you know, it's not the complication, it's how you handle it. So I suppose it's not just simulating the what should go right, but it's simulating when something goes wrong. And do you practice that back in Alabama?
We do, and I'm honored that you were there in the audience when we did that. And that's a very well-known, famous open surgeon from a big famous center. But he could not believe that you could do things minimally invasively and then handle the complication minimally invasively. And what I said is, it's not the complication that gets you, but your response to it. It's how you respond to adversity. That is 100% practiced, 100% choreographed, 100% prepared. No different than my older son when he gives up a home run. You watch him on television, he'll walk around the mound, he'll sweep his foot on the rubber. That's literally sweeping away the negative actions, resetting, refocusing to get a good outcome. It's no different as a surgeon. It is, okay, I put a hole in the pulmonary artery. Yelling at people now isn't going to help me. We together as a team are in trouble. We have to have a prepared script, is where we have rate techs come in, we hold pressure robotically. At 4 minutes, the robotic pressure comes off. If it's still bleeding, we go Surgicel, more pressure. If it's not, we go somewhere else, get more room, and then try to fix it robotically. If that doesn't work, then we'll open. So it's a really set protocol for that.
And obviously robotics is a very exciting field, and it's ever growing, and there's some amazing new developments. There's maybe uniportal and there's stapling devices. I mean, are these things, you know, going to really take things forward in robotics?
I think they are. I think that the big prohibiting thing right now is the cost. And so we as a society have a problem with cost and quality. And can you deliver the same quality with a lower cost? Maybe. Maybe new robotic systems will help lower the cost. But our future is robotics in one way or another. Whether there's surgeons out there that don't want to believe that or not are fine. But the reality is, as costs come down, anything new is more costly. Our future is going to be robotic systems of one sort or another. And we as surgeons need to embrace it, figure out how to make it safe, figure out how to reduce the cost while maintaining great quality.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And so just as we come to the end of this, I think we should all get some tips off you about being a super performer. I mean, you've got 10 great tips for it. I love a lot of them. One really resonates with me is your lines of gratification. I just love what you said about, you know, you do a minimally invasive operation, you don't walk away, you close the skin yourself because, you know, you've slaved like a dog for 3 hours to get these holes small.
Correct.
Don't walk off. I love that. And what do you think are the most important about your keys to being a super performer?
I think the word super performer just means that you want to be the best that you want to be, and a constant improvement. And we as surgeons, and I say this to my great colleagues because we are, you know, trained through a very difficult time, and we do too much navel gazing. And navel gazing doesn't get you better. And so I think we need to look at what we can do better. And certainly I see the world differently with my wife passing away and things that I could have done better then, and I want to get them right now. And nasal gazing doesn't do it. It really is, it's what floats your boat, what are your lines of gratification, and then really getting everybody around you to help you get better. And so I think find what motivates you. It has to be a cause bigger than you. If it's you, that's not a good enough cause. And find that. Find your team members that motivate you, and do everything you can do to get them better and yourself better.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, you mentioned you had the horrific, tragic death of your wife. I mean, it's only last year. I mean, what got you through that, really? Because you just seem so full of energy when I think I would have given up and hidden under a rock.
Yeah. Well, some people say I'm full of something else, but I appreciate you saying energy. A great faith. You know, I have a great faith in the good Lord that He has some plan here that a little chump like me doesn't get. I have to believe that. I have to believe my wife is at peace and not in pain. I just did a television interview, and she said something that my wife lost a battle, and that really hurt me. And my response was that, well, maybe she lost a battle to cancer, but she won the war, in that I'm better because of it. My children are better because of it. They're still self-centered. They still have their own issues that we all have as young people. But so it's a great faith and a belief that there was some reason that this happened, because I can't think of anyone why my wife would pass away at 51. She was such an incredible person. Maybe to make everyone around her better, because we weren't as good as her in so many ways.
Yeah, but and that photograph of that little ray of light coming down onto her father, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose that must be very consoling.
Just incredible, really. Yeah, incredible moment.
Yeah, well, you're an absolute inspiration to us all. I think really everybody should take a moment to read that book. It's very cheap as well. You should probably, up that. It was like $5 on Amazon or something. Yeah,
wow,
you should get that up. You're not gonna,
I don't.
You can't retire on that.
No. I think I make 75 cents or $1 a book. But it is on Amazon.com, and it's and it is available. And it, the most beautiful thing I get from it is emails from people all over the world. I got an email from a woman in Russia who was not a physician. Her husband's not a physician. She was having problems with her marriage and read it, and it helped get her marriage. And I saved that email. I've read it 2 or 3 times the last few days. That means a lot to me. So
yeah, well, I'm sure you have a few emails from patients as well.
I do.
Yeah, great. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Joel.
For myself, Joel Dunning, and everyone at CTS Net, I'd just like to say thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.